But first, let's get to Elon Musk and Donald Trump. The show goes on. It couldn't get any funnier, any crazier, Rita.
Oh, it has been seriously entertaining, I've got to say. I could not tear myself away from X, Elon's platform, ironically, because he has made a massive miscalculation here. I think I don't know what he was on. It's been speculated. Perhaps ketamine tweets may have been at work, but the ketamine has worn off and he has been going back and doing something he never does, which is deleting certain tweets during that exchange. Possibly the most shocking and the biggest misstep was to say that Trump should be grateful to him. He may be the most... he may be the world's richest man. He's not the world's most powerful man, and that's what he's got to realise. And he has, I think, James.
But I think worse was the Epstein thing for me. But anyway,
we'll talk about the Epstein thing.
That was almost a joke
in a minute. That's nobody takes that seriously. Because first of all, let's think about this. Donald Trump is a guy who the left tried to put in prison, take his businesses, take off the ballot, do every single thing they could do to him, and yet somehow they just knew somewhere that he was floating around in the Epstein files, and they never let that drop. Come on, let's put that all to one side. The really important thing, though...
One more thing Rita, about that, because there are fools who do believe this Epstein line now because Elon has said it.
Ooh.
You are 100% right. Of course, if he was anywhere in the files, we would all know about it before the election. But also, he was one of the very first to ostracise Jeffrey Epstein. Back in 2008, before he was even convicted.
And you know why? Do you know why?
He banned him from Mar-a-Lago after he was inappropriate with a teenager there. That was before his prostitution conviction. So he was amongst the very first, if not the first, in that elite world.
Epstein was hitting on the daughter of a Mar-a-Lago member.
That's right.
And Trump...
Teenager.
Booted him out of the club and said, "You're not welcome here." So we put that entirely to rest. But the key thing everybody has to remember is, for all the entertaining, and it's really been a lot of fun watching this whole thing blow up, the big bromance, the big divorce, mommy and daddy are fighting again. But here's the thing, this all really exposes a really big split within the Republican Party, because you've got that kind of tech libertarian side, and you've got the Trump side, which is actually much more politically realistic, because, the big issue was this big, beautiful bill that Donald Trump is pushing through, which is basically secures the tax cuts that he put into place in his first term of office, gets a lot of spending cuts, but not as much as they need, but they get some. So it's a real politics of the art of the possible bill. Musk just decided to have this huge tantrum, and there is no other word for it. Yeah. And, here's the crazy thing, though. As you say, Rita, Musk mistook money for power. Trump understands power more than anybody else. The reason why the left hates him is that, unlike most people on the right, he really does understand the nature of power. And Musk thought that he was on this huge winner, and all the libertarians and everybody like that were going to come out and say, yeah, we don't want the big, beautiful bill. We want this sort of big, extreme bill, which doesn't even exist. When, and you know what happened? The Hill newspaper, which is like the trade paper for Capitol Hill, they called over a dozen congressional offices, from senior leaders to backbenchers, and they said they'd got maybe between all of them 1 or 2 calls from Musk people saying, hey, go against the big, beautiful bill. So Musk wildly overplayed his hand. Why he did, what he was on at the time, I don't know. But there's all this other crazy stuff, too. There are stories now coming out. You had Steve Bannon the other day saying that Elon Musk got into a punch-up with Scott Bessent, the Treasury Secretary, in the West Wing. This is how nuts things have gotten at the moment.
But the other thing that is missed is there has been an inherent tension all the way along. And let's not forget that Elon Musk is the man behind Tesla, the man behind the EVs, the EV mandates, the whole climate change push and the future of, electric cars and so on, and has done very well and made a fortune out of it. The left idolized him. There was always the tension with Trump. They got together, they worked together for the election, but it had to blow up at some point, because at some point Donald Trump was going to say, we can't keep having these subsidies and so on for Tesla and for net zero. And that was a key, it was a key part of it. According to Elon Musk, the EV mandates going was one of the key things he blew up about, saying that why are the subsidies not being
Donald Trump
removed?
said that.
No, because
made
Musk
that
even
claim.
said back in 2021, he said we don't need the.
He did say that, but he blew up about it, about the EV mandates.
I think it was more to do with the overall direction, and also to do with the NASA appointment, which which Elon Musk was very committed to, but it was someone who had donated to the Democrats back in 2021, or a Democrat-aligned pact, and the Trump folks were not comfortable with that appointment, so he was vetoed, and that seemed to also be a bit of a trigger for him. Yes, you're right. It was predictable. You've got two hugely powerful alpha males in the same space, but this is where Elon and I think he's realised very quickly the mistake he's made, because he has a backtrack chat.
This will all blow over. This will be nothing. The left are all getting all excited, but it will blow over and they'll be buddies again within no time.
Can I just say, though, that there's really, I got to keep coming back, though, to this real philosophical split between the Musk people and the Trump people.
It's pragmatism versus ideology.
Here, not just pragmatism versus ideology, it's nationalism versus libertarianism. One of the big things that the Big Beautiful Bill does is secure a lot more funding for the border. The border and immigration, we'll talk about that later in the show, too, what's going on in Los Angeles right now. It's really, really shocking. But, you know, this is something that the Trump people, the MAGA people, deeply, deeply care about. And they're like saying, well, Musk is like, oh, we can balance the budget, but if you don't have border control, you don't have border enforcement, then you don't have a nation and there's no point. And that is the real split between kind of the tech bro libertarians, the Musk camp on the one hand, and the Trump MAGA camp on the other.
Yeah,
and
but I think I disagree.
The MAGA camp is completely winning, Rowan.
But the real argument is about what Elon Musk is really upset about is that the cuts aren't being made. He's put in all this work under Doge to find all this excessive money that is being wasted, that the government is handing out. He's cut all that. He's saying, look, there's all this money. He's saying there's so much more here we could be cutting. And Trump is going, no, politically we can't do that. I want to get my bill through, which does those cuts, and that's it. And that is what the fault line is over the economy. It's whether we go the full lot, go for the ideal of what we should be cutting, which Musk is correct, or we do what politics is the art of the possible, or we do what can be achieved, which is what Trump is saying. And the tragedy here is that both are 100% correct.
Yeah, but
both are correct. Both their positions are correct. But the reality is, in politics, you got to take what you can get.
It's simple numbers, because here's the thing: the bill that Trump is pushing through just needs 50 votes in the Senate, you know, and they can get that through. They've got those votes.
Got that.
But if you go with some new piece of legislation, they need 60. They don't have it.
And
so
we'd see a world recession if they don't get the bill through.
There's been some fantastic developments out of this, including the Democrats now wanting the Epstein files released. So that's fantastic. We want them
Talk about be careful what you wish for.
Exactly.
I mean,
now let's take a quick listen to Donald Trump talking about this.
And what are you going to do about the Tesla? Are you going to keep it, or are you going to...
I haven't thought about it. I mean, I hope he does well with Tesla.
Do you have any plans to speak with Mr. Musk? This was one of your closest advisors.
Yeah, no, I don't have any plans. I'm not even thinking about that.
And let's have a listen to J.D. Vance, his vice president.
But the main purpose of the bill is not actually spending or cutting spending, though it does cut a lot of spending. The main purpose of the bill is to prevent the biggest tax increase. But I understand, like, it's a good bill. It's not a perfect bill. Like the process in D.C., if you're a business leader, you probably get frustrated with that process because it's more, bureaucratic. It's more slow moving. Yeah. So I think there's just some frustrations there. But I really, man, I think it's a huge mistake for him to go after the president like that. And I think that if he and the president are in some blood feud, most importantly, it's going to be bad for the country. But I don't think it's going to be good for Elon either.
Yeah.
And he's 100% right there. And I think that's part of the reason why Elon has backtracked, not only because he was just completely out of order, but he has seen that, no, this MAGA movement isn't splitting down the movement and half going with him. It's 90% Trump. And that little section that is the libertarian free market types. And, they had that conflict a few months back when the skilled visa issue came up.
The H-1Bs.
And that one, again, was where the Trump base was, we're not sure this is good for America. We're not sure this is an America first position. And Elon was very strong. And Trump did back him on that one, though you wondered where he really stood on that position.
And that was also when Vivek Ramaswamy blew up so spectacularly.
That's right. Yeah, exactly.